But it's wrong to have someone come in and talk for an hour.
Right.
And then
not
use
3 minutes.
And then use 5 minutes.
Yeah. So how much did they use?
We don't know yet. They haven't put it out.
And did they say we can't put the whole hour out?
I texted this journalist, and she texted me. She goes, I'm pushing for like a long-form release. I go, yeah, man, just put out the interview.
When it finally came out, the comment section destroyed the interviewer. Not only did she appear to be on enough sedatives to take out a horse, I love horses, but it felt like she did zero research. She brings up Rogan about 3 minutes in, and from that point on, it's basically an hour of Tim calmly responding like a sweet, mildly disappointed aunt, trying to reason with a 6-year-old asking painfully dumb questions.
So I'm sure you're aware of the, like, where's the liberal Joe Rogan, like that whole conversation.
Yes, that is a question they're asking.
That is a question they're asking.
All right, guys, I'll be watching Tim Dillon's CNN interview that he did. This is from Apologia Comedia. Apologia Comedia? Well, however you say it, props to you, my guy. I'm going to be looking at your video. Yeah, we're going to be looking through some of the things that Tim Dillon said in this interview and what the interviewer said, because some of these things, like, I did pre-watch a little bit, probably like I don't know, maybe like 2 or 3 minutes of it, just to kind of get a little glimpse of what was happening there. And it's incredible how this interviewer, this lady that they brought in, I don't know where, like, I don't know what was she doing before she came in here and started talking to Tim. You know, she seemed like she didn't even know anything about anything. I mean, that's like, I guess that's kind of like the understanding of an interview, is to get some questions, but it just seems like she had all these assumptions already lined in her head, and she went at it with Tim a little bit, but Tim kind of sort of like simmered that down and didn't really play the games that I guess maybe she wanted to kind of like twist around and kind of make Tim, you know, sort of, I don't know, like take her side on things, or I don't know, maybe get a better understanding of things. And I think Tim, more than anybody, has a good understanding of what's really happening in the comedy world, because apparently, like, they didn't release this, you know, CNN interview because they were embarrassed by it. And to be fair, yes, they should be embarrassed by this whole interview that they did, because, yeah, it's terrible. I mean, it's an hour long. The whole version of it is out there. And Tim also, you know, the reason why it came out is because Tim was talking about it, and I guess it probably put CNN in a tight position there, because, you know, they go off on saying, you know, some things that, you know, sometimes they're hypocrites about. I'll just leave you the sort of the X there on what they could be speaking of, because usually, you know, all these like all these media conglomerates are usually trying to have an agenda, and Tim knows the game, right? But anyways, we're gonna start the video now. Enough of the introductions. Like I said, I did pre-watch a little bit, but I did not really watch the whole thing. I did not even watch the whole hour. This is why I'm gonna watch this guy's like video, because it's you know, it's about 15 minutes long. So we only got, you know, from this video, it's probably gonna be like around maybe 30 minutes, right? So we'll see how it goes, and yeah, like and subscribe as well, and let's get the show on the road, as they say. Oh, somebody's hawking out there. All right, let's start it.
You use the word establishment.
Yeah.
I didn't say that we didn't have any power or that audiences weren't powerful. But when you use the term establishment, I think that that's more than just having an audience. That's having an institutional component that I don't think we have. But I think legacy media does. I think the government and the intelligence communities do. I think Hollywood certainly does. And I think all of those people, all of those power factions have worked together for a very, very, very long time. So to say that a few comedians with podcasts equal that seems crazy.
I see why. Okay.
And if
you know what that is, though? It's fear. Those big media conglomerates, right? they have all this influence, and what do they fear the most? Independence, going out there and having their own agenda, right? So yeah,
Can correct her in a nice way. That's the way to do it.
Tim Dillon went on CNN to promote his new Netflix special and gave a masterclass in staying calm while being interviewed by a Starbucks barista CNN just hired to do a hit piece on him. It was so bad that CNN didn't want to release the whole interview. It took Tim publicly pushing for them to drop the full unedited hour.
I still haven't accepted the fact that I've left the left.
I did a CNN.
he left the left for what? For what, Joe? For Texas, and even still, you're like sort of sometimes doubting Trump. I mean, I guess, that's kind of maybe what kind of separates you, You're still somewhat, I guess, you switch teams, but, you still can sort of criticize from time to time, right?
An interview for an hour because I'm promoting my special, and
Oh
then
my God, did you really?
yeah, and they
Who'd
asked
you
me.
talk to?
This girl, Elle Reeves.
Was she cool?
Elle, she was cool. They said to me at CNN, they're like, we're editing the interview. I said, put the hour out. I sat there for an hour, and we had a nice conversation. But, we talked for 1 hour, and I was like, put it out. You can only put out a few minutes on network, fine.
I'm surprised that Tim wasn't he's a character. This guy, Tim, he can play a character, right? But in this interview, from what I saw from bits of it, he was really chill, and I'm like, what the hell, right? Like, I would have thought that Tim would have went off on her for saying the most obvious, like, dumb questions, right?
But it's wrong to have someone come in and talk for an hour,
Right.
and then
And then
not
use 3 minutes.
and then use 5 minutes.
Yeah. So how much did they use?
We don't know yet. They haven't put it out.
And did they say we can't put the whole hour out?
I texted this journalist, and she texted me. She goes, I'm pushing for like a long form release. I go, yeah, man, just put out the interview.
When it finally came out, the comment section destroyed the interviewer. Not only did she appear to be on enough sedatives to take out a horse, I love horses! But it felt like she did zero research. She brings up Rogan about 3 minutes in, and from that point on, it's basically an hour of Tim calmly responding like a sweet, mildly disappointed aunt, trying to reason with a 6-year-old asking painfully dumb questions.
So I'm sure you're aware of the where's the liberal Joe Rogan, that whole conversation.
Yes, that is a question they're asking.
That is a question they're asking. So I was
This is the sort of the nega. I don't want to sort of the opposite of Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan left the left. So who's the new Joe Rogan? And some people might say now, I don't know. I think maybe I would put in Ethan Klein right now, because that dude will never back down, and he will sometimes correct himself, and has no he has no problems saying that he was wrong, and a lot of people like that, we're missing them in this world, right? They seem to just never say that they're wrong. Hassan Piker, right?
It's interesting that I did a lot of research, but I think that's maybe not the most interesting question. However, I think you
what'd she
have
say?
to admit, they're asking, so again, that whole conversation.
Yes, that is a question they're asking.
That is a question they're asking. So I was interested in that. I did a lot of research, but I think that's maybe not the most interesting question. However, I think you have to admit, Joe Rogan
Yeah, I think she might have ate an edible or something, allegedly.
has changed comedy.
I think Joe Rogan has changed media.
Can you explain how that works?
Well, Joe Rogan has...
I love that. I love that Tim is like, yeah, comedy wise, the stool bits, yeah, but media though, the podcast, that's his greatest achievement. Not comedy, definitely not comedy.
This amazingly popular platform where he's led by his interests, meaning he's bringing on people to have these long-form conversations in a world where everything's consumed.
Well, this is the problem also what I have with Joe is that nowadays he kind of runs away from confrontation, right? Because it's super obvious with the right wingers. They're sometimes, most of the time, they're messing up pretty bad. I mean, recently bad.
And 30-second clips or 60-second clips and 15-second clips. Joe Rogan is having 3-hour discussions with people on anything from conspiracy theories to science to paleontology. He's all over the map, but he's led by his interests, and he's accountable to himself and his audience, right? I mean, he's kind of like blazed this trail of like, I'm interested in certain things, and I'm going to talk about them with people who I find interesting. There's no real.
That was the old Joe Rogan, you know. Now the new Joe Rogan is more of a, yeah, these are my people. I will talk to these people more.
Media that was structured like that ever, right? I mean, that's not how any of these companies were structured. It wasn't like, come on in, what are you guys interested in? Let's talk about it. It was kind of like, these are the stories, and here's how we're going to cover them, and here's the angles. So I think the entire structure of what Rogan has done has changed everything, because it's opened up this idea that you could do that. You could pursue a strategy of talking to people that you find interesting. And
well, I think he's just in the longest way possible. Tim just described Joe Rogan as creating long form conversations, right, with the whole podcast thing. But I mean, podcasts quite generally are for long form conversations. But you know, he kind of sort of brought it into the limelight, right? So I think that's what he's trying to say.
And then growing a tremendously successful platform out of that.
Rogan moved to Austin, opened a comedy club there, and now all these comedians have moved to Austin to be part of that world.
Yeah.
Like, how does that work? Like, what is that like?
This is the first time I've ever clicked on a CNN video. CNN interviewing Tim like he's the vice president to the Joe Rogan Experience.
Okay, let me tell you why they moved to Texas, right? Well, because of taxes, right? I mean, partially too, but yeah, I mean, yeah, yes, I think that's probably why. It was during the COVID stuff, and Joe just couldn't perform, and Texas was like, sure, come on down here. We do not care. Like, come down here. You know, we do not care if you spit on us. You know, like, fuck it. And I'm just kidding. But look, I mean, what else? What else could be the reason? Like, Joe probably preemptively knew that I mean, I don't know when he got that Spotify deal, but I'm sure he was like, hey, if I stay in California, I'm going to pay this. But if I leave California and go to this other state, they're going to give me this much. And I think that's probably the reason why he's there. You know, no doubt about it for me.
Tim Dillon looks like he's teaching his niece how the world works. Tim says Rogan changed media, and her follow-up is, can you explain how that works? Or, a bunch of comedians moved to Austin. How does that work? Like, what do you mean, how does that work? They packed bags and got on a plane. Tim handled her with kid gloves, knowing full well that if he showed any aggression, CNN...
He's like, I guess maybe she's trying to get like, did he like, did when Joe came to Texas, did they like create clubs there for him? Like, did they put out the red carpet for him? Like, what's up with that? You know, how did the process work?
And would slice the footage into some angry right-wing comedian meltdown narrative.
I won't name the person,
Okay.
but there's a comedian who lives near me.
Okay.
And he has this joke about how he walks all around New York and he sees all these flags from all these different countries, but he never sees the American flag.
Yeah.
Well, we live near each other, and I know he's talking about this little Caribbean grocery store that's got a little plastic streamer of Caribbean flags, and I'm like, it feels a little phony to me. And I'm like, it feels like he's like trying to appeal to a certain audience. I'm not accusing you of that, by the way.
No. I mean, I've never been to that
analysis.
Caribbean grocery store. I don't live in your neighborhood. Do I think people exaggerate things for the benefit of comedy? Probably all the time.
But like, are they pitching themselves to like a Fox audience? Like comedians?
I couldn't know that, but everyone's pitching themselves to somebody. So when I hear a comedian do something like that, or I hear a comedian...
Look, that's crazy. I mean, that's the way she brought that up. I mean, dude, come on. This is comedy. Like, it's offensive. Sometimes it's very personal, and you talk about your experiences in life, right? And you absorb and you observe your life, and you see the funny things in life, right? And I think she just has like sort of I guess she's mad about this guy sort of exaggerating the comedy and saying that, no, I mean, I know we live in the same spot, and he does not Like, yeah, this place is not. Yeah, like you're gonna see a flag somewhere, right? He's just making shit up. It's like Tim is like, yeah, comedy does that, and I think a lot of people should understand that too. Is that comedy? Sometimes when you tell jokes, it's probably fake. You know, it's over dramatized, and they're trying to make you laugh. Don't think of it as a true story all the time. That's where your problem goes. You know, that's where your problems is at too. He's like, don't do that. Just remember, this is comedy. It's funny, right? And yeah, sometimes comedy can be funny when it's true. True.
And talk about how terrible it was that they went home and their parents were like the most racist people ever, and they were so out of touch and whatever. And it's usually like, my parents are trying to be liberal, but they're not, and here's why they're evil. And
Yeah.
you're like, okay. It usually feels like it's something that's been wildly blown out of proportion, because that's most of comedy, right? It's like taking something and then extrapolating something from it. I mean, I don't know that particular joke, but like, it just feels like the basis of a lot of jokes is like, let's blow something up beyond the scope of its actual meaning to make it kind of goofy or make it symbolic of something else. So I think a lot of people do that in comedy. They just find something that's symbolic of something else they want to talk about.
But
Like when
you must like to shit talk. I mean, I shit talk within my industry.
Of course.
Do you ever see other comedians
And think they're not good? Yes.
Tim explaining nuance for 71 minutes to someone on heroin. Why is she speaking like they're at a sleepover hiding under a blanket with a flashlight? It honestly looked like Tim was trying not to laugh half the time. Her questions had the same energy as a kid asking why the moon doesn't fall out of the sky. Dumb in a way that tests your patience.
I think maybe the reason why she's going about it this way is because I think she might have seen a little bit of Tim, right? And the way that he's on his podcast and how he presents himself, he kind of, you know, he's an asshole a little bit. He's, you know what I'm saying? And I think like maybe she's trying to be super chill and she doesn't want the comedian Tim come out, and she's trying to just like sort of, you know, look nice and you know, sort of in a way. I don't know. I'm not trying to say like, oh, she's trying to like maybe, you know, gas him up and try to make him crash out or something. But it kind of like the way that Tim, like his comedy is, sometimes it does seem a little aggressive at times, and the way he speaks at people sometimes, I could understand why she went at it this way, much more calm and relaxed. But I don't know really what's happening there, right?
She even claims a comedian's manager told her that Rogan wouldn't let them go on CNN.
So, one comedian who was like kind of in that world, you know,
Yes.
Fox, etc.
Yeah.
That I tried to interview, his manager told me that he wouldn't do an interview with me because Rogan would get mad at him for talking to CNN. And
That's untrue. That's completely insane.
Okay.
That's completely insane.
Okay.
That is completely nuts. He was afraid of you.
Oh, okay.
He
All right.
thought you were going to come in and really rough him up or something. There's no such thing as Rogan would be mad at someone for talking. That's crazy.
Oh, well, that's
No.
good to hear. Okay.
No.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, like, I don't know if she's lying. I don't think she's lying. I don't even want to assume she's lying. I'll just take it as face value and say, like, okay, maybe this comedian just did not want to talk to this interviewer. Maybe that person, that comedian, was probably close to Joe, and, you know, maybe he thought, like, why does she want to interview me? And, you know, like, I'm not political, right? And he probably think, or she probably thinks, like, whoever the comedian might be, is that, hey, this might be some sort of gotcha, right? And it could have it could have been like that. Like, I think the way that Elle, I think her name is speaking, she wants to kind of like make you explain everything, right? And if you're not as good of a speaker like Tim is, imagine somebody else trying to do that, right? They're not gonna be as eloquent as Tim is being right now, of course.
Good. I'll let him know.
You think that's how it works? Rogan sends emails. I know you don't.
I
think
would-
that, but that's a crazy thing. Like, Rogan's like, "What are you doing? Oh, you're doing this? No, do Gutfeld instead." No one cares.
I mean-
no one cares what anyone does. And the idea, I think people think life's very interesting. We see this with the people,
Right.
where they're like, there's tunnels, and you go, it's really just rich people.
Okay.
And you go, well, but they're doing all these terrible things. You go, absolutely, but they always have, and a lot of them always probably will if they can get away with it. But the levels of intrigue that people build around these things, I don't find that they're not that super interesting. You know?
I just want to be clear though.
But no,
This
that's
didn't
just very
come
funny.
from. It didn't
But
come
it
from
would
like
be
a
funny if he
commenter.
canceled my appearance because of this.
I love how Tim manages to call everything she says completely insane without ever actually calling her insane. Tim would have been a great politician. He takes her weird surface level questions and flips them into actual talking points, stuff CNN definitely doesn't want to touch.
Do you feel like you're part of a new establishment that's being created?
I don't think I'm part of a new establishment. I don't buy it.
Look, the reason why he speaks that way is because Tim knows the nuances of almost everything, right? He knows what things are, and he can see the left and the right, and he plays that. He plays it that way, right? He plays it that way because, you know, when you sort of lean into one side or the other, they're gonna think that you're either left or you're either right. So Tim sort of balances himself right in the middle of things, and people are like, "What is he? Is he on my side? Is he on the other side? I don't know. But he's attacking that side right now. So like,
I just don't buy the narrative. I don't think I'm a new establishment. If you have
A new establishment that's being created.
I don't think I'm part of a new establishment. I just don't buy the narrative. So I don't think I'm a new establishment. If you weigh, again, a few comedians with podcasts versus all of the people that supported Kamala Harris, you know, Democrat donors, billionaires, big people, if the idea is that me and a few comedians have more power than multi-billionaires, huge media institutions, a whole political party apparatus, I just don't think most people are going to buy that. I think it seems like a great way to...
Yeah, that's a great point, because, yeah, we did see, like, big celebrities, musicians, like, big celebrities, like, endorsing Kamala, and Trump who went at it, like, going to Aiden Ross's, stream, and Theo Von, and Joe Rogan, and those shows actually hit more people, you know, I guess, on the ground, right, that are probably more influenced to do something for the person that they're watching for them, right? And so all these other people, like these celebrities, yeah, some of them do have that, right? Like they call them the Swifties, or the Barbs and the Beyonce crowd or whatever. But right now, I think the brosphere with all these podcasts is definitely swayed the election, because podcasting right now is really, really like booming. And right now, these guys that the Trump campaign chose, it was pretty like genius for them to do, quite honestly, to like go to these like more smaller, I guess you might call them, or these new like media types guys, right? But no, it's just like a lot of people just are sick of the corporate media, and so they want to get off of that, and they want to just listen to somebody they believe in, right? And sometimes that's not good, but it is what it is.
Excuse running an unpopular candidate on a platform that American people weren't sold on.
There is power in a massive audience.
There's absolutely power in a massive audience, but if you're saying that power is equal to the CIA or all of these other people that have been very critical of President Trump, right?
Yeah.
So the idea that like the power that Theo Von has would be equal to like the intelligence agencies or these massive legacy media institutions seems crazy.
But you got way more audience than when you're saying we don't have power, we're not the CIA. Well, there's some gradations between that, and also I'm sure. There's like.
Well, just you use the word establishment.
Yeah.
I didn't say that we.
But I don't understand why he brought up the CIA. It's not like the CIA is like endorsing Kamala Harris. I don't know. Can you guys explain me that part? Maybe you guys can, like let me know about that. I got a little confused.
Didn't have any power or that audiences weren't powerful. But when you use the term establishment, I think that that's more than just having an audience. That's having an institutional component that I don't think we have. But I think
like that's kind of like it's generational, right? Because the TV, nowadays TVs are sort of the cable. Buying cable, buying satellite, having all these channels, right? They're being taken over by streaming, by Roku, and by on-demand viewing, right? And people don't want to watch commercials no more. People don't want to watch. They don't want to watch things like at a certain time, right? Like how we used to watch. Like like pretty much like animation domination was pretty much like animation domination was one of them for me, which was like it's all these cartoons that will come out around 8 in the night, and they were all new episodes. But nowadays it's like I could just go on Hulu or on Amazon and watch it whenever I want, right? So nowadays we have more choices. And these old, traditional media, it's kind of going away, and they're scared of that. Traditional media is scared.
Legacy media does. I think the government and the intelligence communities do. I think Hollywood certainly does. And I think all of those people, all of those power factions have worked together for a very, very, very long time. So to say that a few comedians with podcasts equal that seems crazy.
I see why.
Okay. This was like watching a rehab counselor explain basic reality.
Oh, okay, I guess I understand what he said now. Yeah, like her trying to say that media is is comparison to like this independent media is not really. Yeah, that you're really like trying to make something what it is, and you're clearly not doing a great job at trying to say that, hey, you guys are now the new media, and you guys are bigger and better than us, and you're stronger than us, maybe. Like, and Tim is like, chill. You guys are still have way more pull than us, and but you guys do a terrible job. That's probably why you guys suck. You guys are scared.
To a trust fund kid with a Zanzibar addiction. Year is 2025. CNN is asking Tim Dillon what's going on in the world right now. She says the news got dumber and comedians got smarter, and then proves it. The fact that she uses words like establishment to describe comedy podcasts just shows how far mainstream media has drifted from reality. And honestly, it's not even her fault. She's probably highly educated. Thankfully, it was Tim in the chair. There's no better comedian to represent the so-called establishment of comedy podcasters.
There's very, very successful
It's true. I mean, I think even Joe Rogan. I don't know. Probably Joe would be more aggressive.
Comedians that are left of center comedians.
Like who?
I mean, what do you mean, like who? Chelsea Handler. I think John Mulaney, probably. I think that you would find Sarah Silverman. I think Bill Burr, Louis C.K. He's never voted for a Republican in his life. Why? Because he's an imperfect person?
No, because of the allegations. I mean, actually, not. They're not allegations no more. But at least he asked for consent, right? Isn't that the thing? And that's funny too, because like, if you think about all these comedians that you think they're right wingers, they're not. They're not. And then I think usually the ones that are right wingers, they're right wing comedians, they suck. Like, look, like name 10 right-wing comedians, and I bet you, like most of them that you're gonna call out and list, they're gonna be all left-leaning. Like that's for you guys to comment down below. Name 10 right-wing comedians that are good. not just some locals that you know in your city, right?
These are massively successful comedians. They're all more successful than I am, and there's nothing wrong with that. And they're all left-leaning comedians. Is there this idea that like they're not around or you can't find them? That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
No. But there's not
They're all doing
this
great.
cultural energy around.
They're not all as big as they were because I think careers go up and down.
I don't think she could name a single left-wing comedian because, one, she clearly knows nothing about comedy, and two, most of the comedians she would consider left-wing just aren't that funny. When Tim brings up Louis C.K., she literally turns her nose up.
She probably thinks that Brendan Schaub's funny. See, not even the car man wants me to make that joke. Did you hear that shit? I have the window open, but whatever, guys.
Then, to try to prove her point about the lack of left-leaning comedians, she claims their shows all got canceled.
But all those people who had the kind of like left-wing shows, like Amy Schumer and Michelle Wolf, those Samantha Bee, those have all been canceled. All those shows are canceled.
Well, but there'll be new ones. There'll be new ones. I mean, do you not have...
She's tripping. Like this, like what? She's like, I think she just misses those shows. Like, like they're old shows, bro. You want them to still like, yeah, hey, I still want Mad TV with Bobby Lee, Keegan Michael Key, Jordan Peele. The old cast. I want them all together. Why did they cancel that? Why are they not there? Man, what? Really? Man, why can't I not get Minor Messia anymore?
have the faith that you think there's going to be no left-wing comedy?
I don't see.
Do you not new ones? There'll be new ones. I mean, do you not have the faith that you think there's going to be no left-wing comedy?
I don't see like a little ecosystem or like a galaxy. I mean, you might dispute this, but like in the sort of right of center.
There's a galaxy
world,
there's
right?
An establishment.
There's Rogan, and there's all.
It's the Roganverse, bro. Check out my old my series on Into the Roganverse, where we go into Joe Rogan's Reddit page and just speak about what's happening with the Roganverse, and then also the Boppaverse. Boppaverse is also sort of it's like scarier, it's scarier, but there's more episodes, which is more fun. Like, I gotta do one soon, and Boppa he's burned me out, bro. But I'll try to do one for you guys, see if I can do a Boppaverse soon.
This stuff.
I mean, again, is Trevor Noah not popular? He does arenas.
No. Is he popular?
He's an arena comedian. He's one of the most popular comedians in the country. Hassan Minaj does an arena.
There's Rogan, and there's
a galaxy
world,
there's
right?
An establishment.
There's Rogan, and there's all this stuff.
I mean, again, is Trevor Noah not popular? He does arenas.
No. Is he
does
popular?
He's an arena comedian. He's one of the most popular comedians in the country. Hassan Minaj, Ronnie Chang, these guys are all left-wing, and they're all really funny, really popular comics who I'm friends with and like.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I don't think this thing's happening. Whatever everyone thinks happening, I don't think is happening.
Why
this
do you
idea that like left-wing where are they? Where are they? Where are they to be found? Where's Amy Schumer? I don't know. She's in her $15 million townhouse in Brooklyn. I think she'll be okay.
Tim should charge CNN a consulting fee for this interview. How does CNN make Tim seem like the most reasonable person in the world while trying to do a hit on him? That's exactly why Tim was perfect for this interview. He met every irritating question softly and with common sense. Instead of bashing her,
he was like a loving father explaining to his kid why he shouldn't put a fork in the electric on the wall. The plug, like he's like a dad. He's like, he was explaining it like a loving father would talk to his very dumb daughter, explaining why it turns night and day every day, after the next day, and then after that, why does it happen? Like, you gotta just break down everything for them, because clearly they don't even want to teach themselves, or I don't know. She's ignorant. She's uninformed. What could it be? But hey, Tim, Daddy Tim, Papa Tim, you know, he guided her there. He guided her to understand what the heck are you talking about.
He took the high road, understanding that it's not really her fault.
I think a lot of what people are missing is that people don't have a shared base of knowledge. So people feel like they're being attacked all the time. But really, this woman just didn't know a lot of things. And she had made assumptions based on not having the information. So the way to deal with that.
You know who it sounds like? Sam Piker. No, honestly though, they just like, is she like she does these interviews like I don't watch CNN. That's the thing. Like if she's a regular, she's getting paid, bro. Why? What you do? Do you not respect? You didn't. Is this about like not respecting Tim, or is like what's happening here? Like who is she? And I'm not even gonna look her up either. Just let me know in the comments because we gotta get through this video, man.
Is not to go, what the are you talking about, you stupid bit? Like the way to deal with it is to go, oh yeah, I don't.
That was how he was feeling that internally. I'm sure he was like, fucking dumb.
Think you realize X or Y or Z. She doesn't know. She read a few articles about podcasts and then did this interview. She's not a student of comedy. She's not a scholar of comedy. She doesn't understand a lot of the topics that she's talking about. And if I can correct her in a nice way, that's the way to do it.
Give me that old time religion.
So there you guys have it.
You use the word establishment.
Let me put that right here back. So there we go, guys. Look. Where's a good dumb like he was just confused. Tim, explain it to her. No, guys, yeah, like that's crazy, man. They just put in some random chick to just interview Tim and say, "Hey, comedy's different, huh?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Yeah, it's popular. I think it's getting more popular than like big like news, you know." And what do they call it? What do they call that shit? Legacy media, right? That legacy media. That's a funny phrase to call it. I mean, not really, but it makes sense, right? It is. I guess legacy. Those are some. They were like since the beginning, I guess, of TV, right? Those channels, and now, or like they also make a lot of money, but now it's like, hey, gotta be on the internet, bro. And if I don't know what, like maybe I think she just went on Reddit or some sort of Twitter, like snark page or something. She just started to basically like just start like just start bullshitting. Let me see. Like, where's a good one at? Where's she at? Okay, yeah, dude. I'm messing up this video. Yeah, bro, she did not know what was happening. She was like thinking, she thought it was like 2012, 2014, like this new type of this new era of comedy, I guess, or these new comedians, but they're also still like these old comedians, right? Joe Rogan is, we've been knowing him since like, if you guys are watching UFC, you probably know him since UFC, but more like since the 2000s he's been around. And like Joe, I liked his comedy. I did like his early on comedy. Recently, recently I think his newest thing is just it's just like sort of not really hitting it. But that's not everybody. I would say there are some good specials right now, and I think like when people watch videos like this or sort of similar, like where like Too Lazy to Try or Comedy Enforcement, they talk about a certain somebody. It's like just sort of take it with with a grain of salt, right? Like that's it. Like just take it a small. Don't like think about it too much in your head. It's just some sort of little bit of drama. I don't try to overblow it and like make it like super crazy, because I think that's sort of you're attaching yourself to somebody and it's not good for you, right? So try to stay away from people that might influence you. Try to have your own understanding of things. Do your research, as Eddie like do your research, like Eddie Bravo would say. And also don't just like sort of get like some sort of little bit of information and overblow it like how L did here. And Tim Cotter, right? I think Tim did this interview very well, and he showed that he doesn't have to be that blowhard that he does in his on his podcast or when he plays characters, right? Or when people go after him, he does do some crazy stuff. I think one of the craziest was like he just like what's her name? What's that guy's name? Yeah, but anyways, yeah, he went after his daughter. Yeah, that one was crazy, and he dressed like her. But anyways, yeah, I think he did a good job here, guys. Let me know what you guys think of this. I'll see you guys for another video. Like and subscribe, and I'll do these more probably in the future. Yeah, bye bye. I'll see you guys for another one soon.